Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. And just like that, you grasp the elemental appeal of this f.p.j. Journe Vagabondage II. You can see and you can purchase this 2010 limited edition of 68 pieces in rose gold on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this unique jumping hour, jumping minute f.p.j. Journe tonneau timepiece. Now, of course, the Vagabondage II was the successor to the Vagabondage I, a prototype created for the anniversary of Antiquorum in 2004. It eventually became a series through 2005 and 2006 of a bare handful of watches featuring a repurposed movement f.p.j. Journe had originally designed for a third-party customer, tonneau-shaped, but also not quite up to his standards of chronometric precision. The watch resulted in an unusual case profile for f.p.j. Journe, with the distinction that the name of the manufacturer was nowhere to be seen on the dial, again because that original variant did not quite meet f.p.j. Journe's standards of precision. Well, in 2010, the Vagabondage certainly did, but in order to maintain the threads of design and themes of style from the original watch, the tonneau case, the proportions, and the lack of f.p.j. Journe signage on the dial all were retained, albeit with one significant change. What had been a jumping hour watch became a jumping hour, minute, and 10-minute watch, now featuring a smoked sapphire surrounding a center white gold bridge with a delightfully asymmetric design, small seconds, and power reserve scale. The timepiece is easy to wear on the wrist. It's fairly compact. Its largest dimension is actually the 3 to 9 o'clock dimension, minus the crown. It's 37.6 millimeters lengthwise along the wrist. Now, across the wrist, it's fairly compact. As you can see, it's only 45.2 millimeters and easy to wear as a result on a wrist as small, in my estimation, as 13 to 13.5 centimeters in circumference. f.p.j. Journe values precision. He also values thin watches, and this watch certainly is 8 millimeters thick. It's actually thinner than an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 15202. The timepiece is fairly hefty, considering a large amount of gold goes into the broad case, and unlike many f.p.j. Journe timepieces, this one features a full precious metal deployant clasp rather than a pin buckle. The strap features close drilled lugs, which is to say the strap itself is somewhat tucked into the flank of the case, and there's a little bit of a recess underneath such that the strap can close the gap between strap end and case. No daylight visible. It's a highly integrated look, but because of that recess in the case flank that allows the strap to sit inboard of the case band, you actually have the ability to pull the strap straight down so it doesn't want to fight and flare against the curvature of your wrist. The strap is flat. A thin watch deserves a thin strap, and this one is that. It is a matte black, large rectangular scale alligator leather with a monotone stitch, folded edges. On the underside, you'll note more alligator leather. This is more expensive to manufacture. It's no secret, alligator leather costs more because it lasts longer. f.p.j. Journe being one of only a handful of manufacturers that uses alligator leather with a different scale pattern on both sides. You'll also note pull-tab spring bars, allowing you to quickly and easily remove the strap to change the look of the watch or simply clean the watch closely between the lugs. The case profile is quite simply flat and cushion shaped. There's a little bit of a vintage air about the watch, and it's no coincidence that the watch took a, dare I say, tortue profile, as the original Journe Vagabondage I used a caliber that may, a little bird told me, have been originally intended for some variant of a Cartier CP collection tortue. Today, though, it's all f.p.j. Journe, and the standards of finish are commensurate with Journe's stature in the watch world. Simple but handsome. You'll note a bevel along the flank of the timepiece, what would conventionally be called the bezel. The case is all of a piece when viewed from the top, so this transitional bevel acts as the transition from the case band, which is of high polish, to what is effectively the bezel, a directional satin-grained finish on the top or hood of the case. Now, the dial is comprised of several components, and you can see them to good advantage from this angle. There are a number of discs, 3 discs, one for hours, one for the tens of minutes, one for the individual minutes themselves. So you have tens, singles, and hours, and then a power reserve. The watch only has a 28-hour power reserve, so you will need that at 12 o'clock. Small seconds countersunk with a beautiful combination of counterweighted rose gold seconds hand and a small register comprised of indices and a miniature railroad-style track. Beautiful bolts in the f.p. Journe fashion, fixing the white gold element that is this aperture to the dial base itself. And you can see that there are posts mounting the smoked sapphire to the case, and those posts sit at the base of the smoked sapphire that surrounds the white gold center. You'll also note faceted, polished rose gold apertures for tens of minutes, single-digit minutes, and the hours themselves, and that beautiful Journe biomorphic hand that we recall so well from other collections, represented in miniature within the power reserve scale at 12 o'clock. Now, if you look to the dial base, I'm going to try to increase my aperture a bit so maybe you can see, but there's a good deal of finishing of the 18-karat rose gold primary main plate just beneath the dial. It's easier to see in person, but there is a little bit of a transparency that allows you to access the full extent of the dial side of the movement and enjoy its finishing and detailing. It's not as evident in the camera shots, but it's quite obvious in person. What you can also see is that there is a beautiful directional grain top to bottom about the white gold aperture that frames the elements of time, and you'll note when you view it from head on that it is asymmetrical side to side. Although at first glance it appears balanced, it is wildly disparate in its angles, curves, and dimensions from top to bottom and side to side. Turning the watch over, the well-known Journe double aperture crown, and on the case back you can see 18-karat rose gold. Yes, an 18-karat rose gold movement. Now this movement is the caliber 1509, so 15 lean is the size. 2009, the year f.p. Journe started work on it. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It does have a sophisticated free-sprung balance for better shock resistance and more precise regulation. You'll note a couple of different finishings applied. Linear Côte de Genève perfectly aligned across the bridges, mirrored anglage along the edges of the bridges, and as you can see on the base plate, a tight and even perlage, identical to what you'll find on the dial side of the movement. You can see all of the screw heads are black polished, and there's a beautiful satin grain on the crown wheel itself. You can see the mainspring barrel tucking out, also nicely executed with a satin finish. The watch is handsome on both sides, and thanks to the rose gold movement and the full deployant clasp, it's substantially heftier than you would expect a conventional watch of this size to be. It's even heftier than you would expect a Journe to be, because once again, that full clasp is something you don't necessarily expect on f.p. Journe timepieces. Now, the movement itself has one refinement that's notable. Although it does have a very short power reserve, it gives you the reserve to marche indicator, and it has a clever bi-directional set system for the hours and minutes. So, for instance, I can set down from 11:07 back into the 10 o'clock range, and I can set forward if I want to run past 11 to the 12 or 1 o'clock range. So it will not break the mechanism to adjust it bidirectionally. It's one of the hidden virtues of the watch that, like almost every aspect of the Vagabondage series, has been mostly unadvertised. A sort of cult watch within a cult brand. If f.p. Journe has a cult following, this is perhaps the elite of the cult. If you own a Vagabondage II, it's likely that you own a Vagabondage I and a Vagabondage III. They tend to accumulate collectors rather than the other way around. Find out why and see this watch on our website.